Hello everybody, Lord Almighty here. Today is Saturday, February 27th, 2021, and we have another balmy February day that we can use for fishing purposes. It's a little bit soggy, a little bit breezy. It was raining earlier today, but the rain has let up, and the ponds, as you can see around me, are unfrozen. So I decided to grab my gear and see if I couldn't get some early season largemouths. I'm going to start by tossing around a spinnerbait, but as always, I've brought my bag of tricks. So if this doesn't work, I can just make some changes and see if I can't put a catch together. Well, nothing on the spinnerbait, so switched over to black and blue jig. Maybe a slower presentation will wind up getting some bites. This is one of the most high percentage spots on the entire pond, so I'm probably going to go through a few lure changes before I decide to move on. Because if these fish are anywhere, they should be here. It's just a matter of getting them to bite. Alright, well, jig didn't turn up anything either, so I switched over to my spinning gear, and I'm going to start throwing around this perch-colored floating Rapala. Just kind of run it through real slow. That's a pretty good technique I found for catching early season bass. And this might actually catch some of the other species that live in here, like crappie or white perch or yellow perch. And I certainly wouldn't turn up my nose at any of those today. Here we go. First catch of the day. Oh, it's a lunker. That was a lunker stick roll. Thanks. Hopefully it's not my only one. Well, I think it's about time to move on. I was considering trying a Ned rig out here, but there's a lot of green and black slime on the bottom here, and certainly that's not conducive to fishing a Ned rig. So I'm going to go ahead and bail on this spot and try someplace else on the pond. Alright, so I moved from the inflow to the outflow here at the dam, and I'm just going to start slinging this jig around, and I will see if any fish have moved up onto the riprap around here. Starting to see some patches of blue sky, which is a very good sign. It would be even better if that sun would stay out. Today is mild, but it's not particularly warm. I think if we had some sunlight beating down on the water to warm it up a degree or two, that might coax some fish to move up shallow, start thinking about feeding. Well, nothing doing on the jig, and frankly, I'm not really feeling it at this spot. I've never done particularly well in this part of the pond anyway, and I feel like if there were any fish around, I should have gotten bit by now. So there's one more spot on this pond I want to try, and if it doesn't work out there, then we'll think about maybe hitting up a new spot, or a new pond altogether anyway. Alright, so here we are at spot number 3, and the reason why this spot stood out to me today is two reasons. One, we've got a storm drain coming in here, which might be bringing some different temperature water along with some food items into the pond. And we also have the wind that's blowing straight in this way, which might be pushing some bait fish back into this cove, which might cause some bigger fish to follow suit. So this is going to be my last effort on this pond. If it doesn't work here, then I'm going someplace else. Alright gang, here we are at pond number 2. Hopefully this will treat us a little bit better than that last one did. Still got the jig, and I'm going to start off with that. I feel like this is a good choice for winter bass fishing, but as usual, I've got other stuff too if this doesn't work. Man, winter bass fishing is just tough. I've never been able to really get it dialed in. I mean, once in a while I get lucky and find a bunch of fish clustered together, but for the most part, it is just a grind. I mean, you could fish all day, and if you're lucky, you get 1 or 2 bites. And that's kind of what it feels like this day is turning into. Alright, well, the jig struck out again, so I think I am going to shelve that, and I'm going to focus now on throwing around some smaller baits. So, I'm going to start out with the old inline spinner. I find that when fishing's tough and I'm not really sure what's going on, throwing one of these around can save the day. It lets you get into a rhythm. You can cover a ton of water, and just about anything that swims will eat it. Alright, no love on the spinner, and I thought about making a lure change and going around this pond again, but it's starting to get late and there's one more pond I want to try before I call it a day. So sit tight and I will see you in a couple of seconds. Alright, so here we are at spot number 3. And I've also made a lure change. I'm going to go with the Keitech swim bait on the jig head, because that is one of my most reliable producers when the water is cold. I haven't given up on the idea of getting my first bass of the year, but at least in this pond, if the bass aren't biting, we have a chance at getting some pickerel, which would be a decent consolation prize if we can't get that largemouth I've been wanting. There we go. Fish on. Hey! Guess who caught his first largemouth of the year? The old Keitech Easy Shiner comes through again. Alright. So today wasn't a total waste after all. Beautiful. Well, everybody, the sun has gone down, so it is time for me to head on home. I accomplished exactly what I set out to do today, which was catch my first largemouth bass of the season. But boy, did I have to work for it. 3 different ponds, a bunch of lure changes. That's what it took for me to get that one bite I was looking for. But that's the name of winter fishing sometimes. You got to put in a lot more time before you get rewarded. But first bass of the year, that's definitely a worthwhile reward. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you on the next adventure.